Howdy there, fellow Shadow Priest. Welcome back to another edition of PvP on the YouTube channel of the Stop SP. Today we're going to look at some Shadowplay games. I'm going to play a couple different specs in the video. We'll go over kind of more damage tips because I know a lot of people are concerned about the damage guide being outdated. So we'll cover how to pump as each of these builds. And you can see there's a lot of variation in our wins and losses here. We started off 2400 and then we ended up at 2650 playing some Shadowplay. Various specs felt good, various specs felt bad, so we're going to talk about situationally when to alter them up and how to perform at a higher level with some damage. So let's check out some games. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, let me know what you want to see next, and we'll jump into the games right now. Alright, we'll begin this game with a Dark Ascension build. So I'm playing the classic Inescapable Torment, Mindbender, Shadow or Death, all that stuff from the last video that we made. This is what most of the Shadow Priests are playing in AWC. You saw this a lot in like a melee caster healer versus a melee caster healer matchup. And we're going to see what that looks like. How do you deal some damage and get some burst off while you're not getting attacked. In this match, I'm not getting attacked, so let's keep that in mind. My objectives here, as always, dot the first two players you can. Quick damnation on the DK, swap over to the healer, VT. So your first two globals always kind of look like that. Damnation, VT. I did grip my Resto Druid when he got Intimidation stun. Most hunters like to start the game with a stun trap. So when you see that stun on your healer, great cue to press grip. Grip is off global, so if you have that on a comfy keybind, you should always be able to grip the trap, even if you're on global. So I grip that. He scatters me at the same time, but since my grip goes off first, we get that off. I even eat the trap, so great start for us here. Look at the match right now. All three targets are dotted. Priest is in my face, so I'll start with a fear here. Now, I actually could have used my Mindbender on the Priest to kind of get that idle buff. I didn't really think about that. I'm just going to focus on the DPS for a second here, though. So we got all our dots up. I used Power Infusion, Dark Ascension, Mindbender. Now it's time to just spam Mind Blast in Death off cooldown. Hunter gets his dots dispelled with his Feign, so I'm going to read out the Hunter and then start nuking the Priest. The DK used Zone, so I'll just swap to whatever target doesn't have damage reduction up is what you want to swap to. It's also worth noting here that I have my Unfurling Darkness proc, and I should have dotted the Priest here. So instead of I pressed a Shadow or Death to proc that Torment, I should have re-dotted the Priest and then switched over to the DPS once that zone was over. So small misplay by me. Now we have this Unfurling is going to fade and the Priest is no longer dotted. I'll Shadow Crash all the pets. I still have my Mindbender out, so I'm continually trying to get those Mind Blasts off. I actually missed this last one here, so I already messed up my DPS rotation a little bit, but still we're doing top damage so far, not too bad. Gonna redot the Priest, try to fake MD the trap. As soon as the Priest comes out, I need to kind of pester him. We're gonna get ourselves into a situation where if we're not getting trained, we need to be the aggressor and sit on the healer, babysit him so that he cannot do anything fun in terms of his PvP objectives. So I'm kind of the goalie, maybe not the goalie. I don't know what the right hockey term would be, but essentially my Warlock is going to kite off out into this distance, so the Priest has to leave the pillar, which will leave him vulnerable to getting swapped to by me as well as my Warlock. Anytime my lock gets a UA up on the Priest, I'm going to look to mind games him as well. That'll be very high value. In the meantime, between your Dark Ascension burst, essentially all you want to be doing is keeping your dots up, ramping Insanity, and kind of purging. So here I'm going to stun the Priest in the open. He trinkets that into a silence. I'm going for the mind games, but I want to see that UA active before I get the mind games off, so I actually drop it there. Here comes some damage now. We got not all three targets are dotted. Two targets are dotted. I'm going to shoot a mind games onto the Priest with the UA. Shoot out one Mind Blast, hopefully two Mind Blast. We don't get the last one, but I'll just swap to the Hunter here. Read out the Hunter. I have Damnation available. Should be easy. More Mind Blast, more Mind Blast. I have an Unfurling Darkness proc. The DK actually wasn't dotted for this entire go, which is kind of bad. Losing a lot of value on that Psychic Link and even just extra dot damage. As you can see, the Priest, anytime he's out in the open, he's just taking tons of dot damage, as well as my Psychic Link is kind of messing him up. So I'll fear him on that Mind Games there, continue to Mind Blast, continue to Mind Spike. I'll proc all those Psychic Links beautifully. You can see my apparitions are floating everywhere too. Stun the Priest in the open, and my damage globals are really bad right here. I use Vampiric Embrace and Shield, and then Shadow or Death. Like I could have used, we were so healthy there, I didn't need to use those buttons, so kind of messed up. Sometimes I just press buttons like a noob, and I don't really know what to say other than when I watch it back, I fucked up really badly. So we can always play smoother with our globals, and the more your dots are active on all three targets, just the easier it is to to do everything else. So pretty solid game in terms of my DPS. I did as much damage as my Affliction, which is, I feel like, all you can really ask for. Their damage is kind of crazy. Now let's check out a game where I play Void Form actually instead of Dark Ascension, because we had a match where I got trained and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna do no damage. How do we beat this? And sure enough, we figured out a nice path. So let's check out a little Dark Ascension versus Void Form matchup here. All right, this match, I decided to go Void Form because essentially what happened was the last game I just kind of played in between the priest, like I said, and I cut him off and didn't really allow him to have any fun. He never was able to push in on my Druid for fear. I got to fear him off cooldown, keep him dotted, and I think the priest probably said, hey man, the Shadow Priest is just sitting on me, let's just train him and just try to survive the Affliction's damage. So I'm going to say, all right, you guys want to counter me now, I'm going to try to counter you. So I'm going to play Driven to Madness with Void Origins, and I'm also going to play Catharsis. So basically, the more I get attacked, more damage I'm going to do. In the beginning of the game, I Damnation the healer, use that VT to go on the Hunter, and then I'll Shadow Crash the DK along with all of his pets to try to get some damage rolling there. The next objective I have is to kind of get to the pillar. You can see that the last game I was playing right on top of the healer. This game I want to actually run away from the healer and not take damage from the priest. I'm going to give my lock PI, I'll pop Vampiric Embrace, CC the priest, and just start doing as much damage as possible. Not able to get the MD off on the trap. I do get Iron Barked here, but it's fading, so I'm actually going to choose to disperse here when I'm kind of in execute range. Maybe a small overlap because my Druid appears to have me topped up very, very well. My damage globals, once I'm in Void Form, just to talk about the DPS really quick. Keep the dots up and then Void Bolt off cooldown. Void Bolt works with Psychic Link now, so it's going to do tons and tons of damage. I'm always trying to hit the target that has the least damage reduction possible, so right now the Hunter's Paint's up and I'm targeting the DK, trying to put out some damage into him. Now he dwarfs off my dots, so I'm going to need to get those dots back up. Dot him, redot the Hunter, and then I actually missed a few globals on Void Form here, or Void Bolt. Take the gate to get away from them. I know that I said I want to line the priest, but unfortunately my gate takes me to him. So now I'm actually going to take a ton of damage to the priest. But Driven to Madness is awesome in this matchup because not only am I getting hit by these two guys all game, but the priest is also dealing damage to me, so it's resetting my Void Form. We already got one Void Form off, and you can just see at the bottom of the screen there, 28 seconds, 25, 24, 20, like it's just going down so quickly. I'm going to be able to get 2 Void Forms off before my next disperse is up, which is crazy, right? Because I just dispersed, so it's about a 45-second, 50-second Void Form cooldown right there. And I'm already back in Void Form, ready to get those dots up and shoot Void Bolt. You can see I'm actually out damaging my lock right now, which is kind of crazy considering I'm getting trained. I think if I was playing Dark Ascension and Mindbender here, I would have struggled to get a lot of Mind Blast off and ultimately would have done a lot less DPS. This build would not be as good if you're not getting trained, because obviously you're going to get no value from Driven to Madness and you'll lose quite a bit of burst potential on your goes. This is more like steady overall, kind of chill, consistent damage here. I'm going to get locked on my MD, so I do fake that first kick, unable to get the second one, but it buys us enough time to kind of get a Desperate Prayer off and hopefully avoid using any major cooldowns here. Looking at my spells here, really need to get those Void Bolts off more. I let a couple globals go without the Void Bolt. I'm going to swap my Druid there, get topped off. Try to continually run away from the priest. I push in here like a noob, realizing like, oh shit, this is kind of bad. I'm just trying to get dots on him and mind games him, and this ends up putting me in a really bad spot. So I'll fake the kick there, go for the mind games, but I still don't have dots on him, so that was kind of a noob thing. Redot him, dot the Hunter, dot the DK, and I just need to get the hell out of here now. MD, but the trap breaks, so small misplay by me. My disperse is back up. It looks like I probably just need to use it here. Readjust your positioning with disperse always. We need to put this team into a spot where if they push in, they're going to overextend and die, right? So the priest can't afford to leave that pillar because he'll get soloed by my warlock, and also the DPS can't afford to chase me behind the pillar because then they won't get healed and they'll die. Now the priest is also at this point, and I don't have disperse or life swap, so it's really, really crucial that I just play passive and don't give them the win for free. If I push in, I could just get gripped and basically die, and since we don't have any cooldowns and the priest is it's better to just play safe. Even though I'm really far back right now, my warlock is keeping them in combat and doing a ton of damage. They do get the grip on me. I'm going to actually opt to get towards the gateway here. So I will root them, take the gateway, and try to get away. It was a good attempt, but I didn't really make it very far. My Druid's able to give me a huge NS, top me off like a beast. Love having a good healer on your team. I could have definitely lost the game here. And then again, I'm just, even though the match is basically over, look at where I go, right? I'm getting trained. I'm going to take the DPS all the way back here, make the priest leave the pillar. If I'm not getting trained, I'm going to fill in that role of being a little pest and harassing everybody. So my warlock's doing a good job of doing that. And ultimately, we just win this game on mana. Again, I didn't out damage my warlock, but I got pretty close, or I did pretty close to his damage, and I was getting trained. So I feel like if you can get away with, doing similar DPS to your warlock, you're gonna be in a great spot to ultimately win the game. So pretty great game. It was just with the talents and the damage. I didn't play well, but I think I did enough to give our team a shot at winning, which is, sometimes all you can do. So I hope you guys enjoyed the little contrast between those two specs, and we're gonna jump into one more where I'm actually playing the mindflay build because people still want to see that, right? Let's check that out. All right, we'll actually show 2 clips because I remember this game, like, I kind of did really poorly. It was my first time playing the mindflay and void torrent build in a little bit, and I just kind of played badly. So I think I want to check this out with another match too. In the beginning, I just kind of peel my warlock here, get the dots up. It's really important to dot all 3 for your psychic link to have big value here because it's going to work with void bolt and void torrent. So the fact that the druid's not dotted right now and I'm kind of getting trained down is a little stressful. I canceled the end of my mindflay insanity, so I kind of fucked that up for us. Throw out a Psy Fiend, try to keep those dots up too. I use a void torrent, but it's into the iron bark and I get charged and feared. My DPS kind of sucks this game, I'm not gonna lie. This is a pretty bad example of me playing poorly, but we end up getting a really juicy go later in the game where it just kind of like ends the match. So here we go. I'm just trying to play out in the open, make it hard for the healer to heal. These DPS also, if they want to run away, they have a long way back to the pillar, which is going to be very good for us. Give my friend power infusion, try to get a void form off, fake the ret paladin, mindbender, and here we go. Here's a pop on the druid actually. So I'm going to dot the druid up, or mind gives him, dot him up, and then just sling out a void torrent with no interrupts, and we're easily going to be able to kill him here. It's just as easy as that. Like when you have a PI void torrent, it just can completely melt people. I think you can deal upwards of like 150k with the torrent alone, and then obviously it's AoEing and your dots are ticking. So we kind of just nuked the druid down there really quickly, just stunning him in the open, abusing him like that. But let's check out maybe a game where it goes on a little bit longer and it's not as fluky of just a random win. All right, last example here. We're gonna be playing the void torrent and mindflay insanity build. Ideally we want to dot all 3 targets, so me pushing away from the druid here is actually bad for us because now I cannot dot the druid. Either way, I'm going to mass spell my healer, go into void form and start flinging out some mind flays. I actually canceled that cast, which is bad because I didn't get my mind trauma stack. So now I got my mind trauma stack. I'm going to dot the druid. I'm too close, so I get feared. Now I have to redot both the DPS as well before I can start dealing that AoE psychic link damage. So here's a shadow crash. Pop that void torrent here into a mindflay insanity. I need to redot him actually first. We'll siphon the warrior, mindflay insanity on everybody. The ret is now going to babysit me because he sees I'm playing the heavy casting build. He's going to kick my mindflay. In between that, I can purge. I choose to shield, but I think purge is probably the best global after that. Going to get cloned here, try to line it, but I don't. Very kind of noob gameplay. You have to stand still a lot as this spec, which makes it not very practical. You can see I just a lot of casting. So I'm going to dot those 2, dot the druid in the open. Every time the druid's in the open, we just need to harass him. So I'm going to go for the mind games on him here, give him a little mindflay insanity, steal some haste from him. Now I'm doing big damn. Dot the other 2. We got a void torrent back as well, so it would be good to fling that out here. Yep, here's the void torrent. It's going to be AoEing vanguards as well as the druid down. If the druid is lining the warrior, the psychic link will not hit him. I'm pretty sure as long as he's in line of sight of the target that I'm hitting, it'll hit him, but yeah, if he's just behind the pillar, it won't hit him at all. So the druid could be lining me, but as long as he's not lining his DPS, you can see I'm still kind of getting the sucks off on him there. So keeping them dotted, keeping them purged. Trying to mic drill the spear, but all of them just blade storm anyways. Mic drill the ret to peel. Looked like he wanted some CC there. We're going to have a really hard time winning this game until dampening just because of how good this healer is. So anything we can do to survive until then is going to be meaningful for us. Now once these guys come back out, we're going to use PI, try to dot the druid here. I'm stunning him in the open always just to try to get him dotted up, get that pressure off. Maybe my lock can even dot him in those instances as well. So big Void Torrent onto Vanguards, followed by Fiend, but I get feared, so I can't shield it. Gets one tapped from afar, and I'll just instantly switch over to the next target. Void Bolt does hit pretty hard, so definitely shoot out some Void Bolts when we can. There's a Mindflay proc. Not a bad time to silence the Druid here. Mindflay Insanity. Void Torrent is not back up, but I do have Mind Games, so we'll shoot out a Mind Games here. Dot everybody up. Warrior needs to be dotted. I'm aware of that now. Just very, very slow-paced gameplay here. Honestly, if this was any other healer, we probably would have been able to win by now, but if we just found that this guy is such a beast at healing that it's hard to kill anybody. You can see my DPS honestly could be higher. I feel like if I was playing the Dark Ascension build, I may be getting more pressure off. I'm not sure. They were killing my Mindbender the other game, so we'll see. Here's a big Void Torrent. Unfortunately, the other guy's cloned, so it's not going to AoE there. Since I'm playing this heavy casting build, Vanguards has been coming back to kind of babysit me and stop me from casting, which has been annoying for the boys. Because I do just want to sit here and free cast, ultimately. That would be the best case scenario. And honestly, that Mind Games wasn't good because the Druid just dispelled it. I probably want to look to get those Mind Games on the Druid more when I have the stun up. So stun him, dot him, Mind Games, and hopefully get some pressure off of that. Trying to get as many of those Mindflay Insanities as I can. Stun the Druid here. Give him a little silence, give him a little suck. Siphon here, shield it. Whole 9 yards. Mindflay Insanity into a Void Torrent. He has Iron Bark up, but we're still pumping with it, so all good. If he gets away from me, I'll do another Mindflay. Dot the Warrior. Probably PI here too. PI. Need to use that Mindflay Insanity. There we go. Boom. Divine Plague, another one. Void Bolt. Void Bolt's going to AoE everybody. Love it. If I could have traded this, we probably just would have won. The Druid's definitely starting to fall behind on healing, though. I human this, get the Mind Games off on the ret. That's going to reduce his damage for the time being. Druid doesn't feel comfortable dispelling. Very nice. Stun the Druid in the open. We'll silence him off this, too. Need to dot the Druid. He's dotted. Perfect. We're looking good. We're looking good. Then we can keep skipping around, and the game's still going on. But here we go. We got all the, look at this distance, man. You get 2 of the Mindflay procs up, and then you just start sucking them dry, dude. There's really, like, not much this Druid can do. The AoE damage is really ramping up. The more you cast, the more procs you're going to get, the more damage you're going to deal. So if you can really stand still in the middle of the map and just have kind of like caster corner positioning, you're going to deal a lot of damage. We pretty much just get lucky here with all the procs. Keeping them dotted, doing the Mind Flays, sucking them down, shielding the Siphon, all that fun stuff. So there's 1 proc, 2 procs, Void Torrent, and we're just doing the most suck damage right now. Need to dot this Druid as well. If I can dot the Druid, the game's over, even though we kill the Warrior here. The Druid doesn't know who to heal because they're all taking so much damage. Yeah, pretty solid match, I guess. Like, it's hard to say for sure if I would have done more damage as Dark Ascension, but this is something we wanted to try out just because we found that we were going really long and not able to finish the game, and I feel like Void Torrent just gives you that extra burst, especially if you're not being trained. So these are options for you guys if you want to play Void Torrent. Just make sure you're in a matchup where you're not going to get trained, and even if you do get trained, maybe your Affliction takes over and wins the game. So I think that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the commentary and have fun PvPing in the Shadow Priest arena, man. All right.